Hello, everybody. And here we go. We are live. We are live. Is the sound okay? Just out of curiosity, is there that weird? There was kind of an echo last time. Is it okay today? You just need to know because it's very, very weird. So this is the Shortwave Show. We are live from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and hope that you enjoy today's show. Cool. Merci, PLF Radio. Cool. That's what I was scared of because I did not find a reason why. I think the computer was in kind of a loop when I played with the volumes of the input devices last time, and it kind of stayed. It probably would have fixed it if I would have restarted last time. But it's normal that there's just a slight echo because I don't have padding on the walls to suppress the echo coming off when I talk, and I do talk loud to make sure that everybody is hearing you also. A slight echo is normal, but not like last time. Last time was crazy. So hey, I hope I don't look like some weird thing because I am under. I got kind of a flu thing since yesterday. I ache everywhere. I'm tired, and I just I pretty much feel like a piece of crap right now. So I hope it doesn't show too much on the show. Hopefully the beer is gonna help out. So cheers, everybody. And welcome aboard. So this is the Shortwave Show. We are Friday. 100 hours UTC is the time when we meet. We talk about radio and we have a lot of fun. And there's a great chat room with great people. And hope that we're just going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to go through the shortwave frequency range, megahertz by megahertz. I had a few people say you've done that in the past. Some new viewers also said, there's so much of the spectrum that seem to have nothing. And I wonder sometimes, do we really need to be from 3 to 30 megahertz? In times of solar activity, where low solar activity, I often get that moment of, well, there's nothing above 20 megahertz. I don't see why radios go with 30 megahertz. Yeah, there's a lot going on above 20 megahertz. It's just that it's not always there. And one of the first tips that I will give to everybody listening to shortwave, when you go to a frequency range and there's nothing on, don't just go once or twice. Go there every time you listen. And you'll be surprised one day you'll tune around and say, hey, there's something here. It's just that sometimes it's not always there the time that you are going to scan for signals. And we'll see the different signals that are part of the shortwave frequency ranges. And you'll have a better idea if, this is kind of a shortwave 101 here, where you'll have a better idea of what's available and what's the different frequency ranges. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. I've got the Yaesu FP450 open here. I've got my SDR play RSP1A on the screen there. We'll tune around. We'll talk radio, basically, and just have a lot of fun. One word of warning, because of the way I feel, I might not do the show tomorrow because already I ain't feeling that great to do today's show, but it's a commitment that I wanted to do. In exchange for the fact that I'm doing a show today, maybe there won't be any shows tomorrow because I'll just take it easy. Like I said, I do feel like a piece of crap. I'm sitting here and I would rather go and sleep. It's just that intense right now. So, hey everybody, nice to have you here. Matambali from Colorado. Juan amigo. ¿Cómo está mi amigo from Barcelona, Spain? Mark Cope. Nice to have you on board. Bobby Burgess from Morgan City, Louisiana, USA. Neil Toombs. Nice to have you here. KP45. Fergus Falls, Minnesota. Nice to have you here. Mick, nice to have you on board from Leicester Dead Center of England. Mark Cubs, 415490, BBC from Ascension Islands, strong in Dallas. It's, I don't know if that was a little earlier. Maybe it's not there anymore. I'm not sure. Yeah, there's nothing. There's a weak signal there. Yeah, there is something. I do get something there. Jerry DX, nice to have you on board. Lehigh for you, nice to have you on board from Iowa. David Arden, nice to have you on board. And says he gave his thumbs up even before the show began. And yeah, I think it was Matt MDK2 that also did the same thing. PLF Radio, bonjour et bienvenue de la France. Toujours un plaisir de vous avoir parmi nous. Nice to have you on board. Jack N9IIF, nice to have you here. Artist Alley Crafter's Kitchen, nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. So sound should be okay, apparently. There might be a slight echo, but that's the normal slight echo of my room here. Antonio JC Silva, nice to have you here from Portugal. Pretty cool. Max Edstrom, nice to have you on board. Vancouver Island DXer from the other side of Canada on the west coast. VE7AUL, nice to have you here, Brian. And how does it feel to be back from the North Pole? Well, I got the flu. I guess I'm not made to be to the North Pole, basically. William House from Florida, nice to have you here. Shortwave frequency channel, nice to have you on board. Getting his 27 megahertz radio activate soon. Woohoo! That's cool. Rock Ristorante, nice to have you on board. Risto SM0SBT in Stockholm, Sweden. Matrix 54X, nice to have you here. Beer cures everything. Oh, man. Thanks, That's Strong says, you know, Jill, there are sick days in your contract. So, wow, there was a screeching feedback, really. Is it still there or is it better now? That's weird. I don't know why it did that. Or does that. There's something weird, and I don't get it. Is it better now? Fanny Xanakis, nice to have you here from Denmark. Pretty cool. Max That's Wrong says, you're allowed to be sick, seriously. So Roger's Alley Crafter's Kitchen from Massachusetts. And PLF Radio says, your health more important. Brian Penny, nice to have you here. Happy New Year from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I've been to Cape Cod in something like 1996, 97 or something. Rock the Tech Guy, nice to have you on board, my friend. Nick Amendo from Romania. Danilo Lawrence Ramirez, nice to have you on board from Chile. Pretty cool. What else do we have? Randy in Riverside, California. Nice to have you here. Happy 2019. Max Headstrong says, I do admire your dedication. So, nice to have you on board. That is weird. 2006 UTC. I'll have to do some tests because that's very, very bizarre what's happening. Al Catalan, nice to have you here. Mark Cobb at CHU week on 14670. Okay, so there's some light weird echo from like last time. I'll need to check that out. I don't know why it does that. There's some weird thing happening here, and it does coincide with the fact that I had turned on stereo mix, but stereo mix is actually disabled for the show to make sure there's no return or anything. I'm gonna have to check that out and see what happens. Catalan is from an hotel room in Dubai. Wow, nice. RSP1A running with Texan wire antenna attached to the window. Still a lot of noise from the LED lights outside. Well, that's nice. That's really nice. Mad Radio DXer, nice to have you here. Sakura DX, nice to have you on board from Japan. And he is now out of Akata Port to be away from the bad sea weather. So nice to have you on board. Shortwave conditions, not so great. K4. We were expecting to have maybe a possible geomagnetic storm with some solar wind that will have gusts from time to time. So nice to be here. Mike DX, nice to have you here, says trying for Oz Radio 5825 kilohertz special. And it's there very weak and south of the UK. There's one thing that's interesting about the. There's a station that is on 15805 that I saw a report. It will be until January 6th every day up to 2000 UTC, I believe, on 15805, and it's very, very low power, 200 watts. So I'm going to try for that a few days, and after that it should be on the weekends, apparently. Brian Penny, nice to have you here. So, yep. Yeah, exactly, Matt. That's what we were expecting, basically, for the weekend. So, nice to have you on board, everybody. Like I said, I might look like a piece of crap. I do have some kind of flu thing, so I'm like, I don't feel that great. Cheers, everybody. Nice to have you on board. Timo93, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to see everybody on board, as usual. So today we will have, we'll just check something here, because I like to check it out. And by the way, no, I don't have a monitor speaker. I don't have anything that monitors my audio. I actually just refer to the little indicators on my screen. I've got two bars that move up as I speak, which tells me that there's a sound coming out. I'm just gonna do a little listen here, guys, for a second of my own stream using my phone. I'm just curious to hear how it sounds right now, and see if it's as bad as last time. Last time was kind of bad. So official shortwave channel live right now, and let's see if what it sounds like. 1, 2. Yeah, there's the echo. Wow, so weird. I don't get it why there's a feedback. I will need to check that out for the next show. I'll be doing some tests this weekend and during next week. It's very, very weird. Jeff KD5QDO, nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. Yeah, like my Radio DXer says, World Music Radio from Denmark, 15805. He says received them around 5800 in the past here in the UK. I reckon it can be received across the Atlantic even with weak signal. Yeah, I will try the 15805 kilohertz frequency. They are on every day, I believe, up to 2000 UTC on 15805 kilohertz. It's a weak 200 watts, so that means there's not a lot of power in that antenna. But it is possible that it will make it across the Atlantic. It's driving me nuts here. I'm trying to figure out and think what's happening with my audio for it to have that echo, which I'm just going to check one thing with Wirecast. So Wirecast here, there's that. What's that key, that thing here? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I'm just going to check something with my audio source. Source settings, microphone. Yeah. I don't have anything there. This is weird. I just have no idea what's happening with my sound. Speakers off. Spatial sound is off. Volume mixer. Volume mixer. Everything's off. And this is a puzzle right now. And it does seem to come with the fact that I have activated stereo mix in Windows 10. So I'm wondering if, even if it's disabled, because stereo mix is disabled right now, if there's not something that's making it go with feedback or something. Anyways, we won't lose too much time. If it's bearable and listenable, at least we'll do it like this. Sorry once again. We'll have it fixed by next show. JD Williamson, nice to have you on board. And David Only says, Jean in stereo. Wow. So I don't know. We'll be figuring this out and trying to fix this by next show for sure. Radio Vatican on 7365. Let's check it out here. 7365. And yeah, it's there. I hear it. Problem is with I can't really put the audio of this. That probably makes like squealing stuff in the audio or something because of the way that it is. I sound like a voice from the heavens. Shortwave, I'm the shortwave god, so it's normal that it sounds like the voice from the heavens. You shall not throw away that shortwave receiver. You will tune WWV every day for the rest of your life on 15 megahertz. Joe Palu, nice to have you here at KB3LUE. Rough Duff McLeod. Maybe it's just me, but audio problems seem to have started after you had your internet worked. Yeah, but it can't be because of the internet. And because it's just a stream. I think it seems to coincide more with the fact that I actually enabled stereo mix in Windows 10 when I got the RSP1A, so I could record the audio of what I was listening. Showed Spanish. Discuss drag racing. Frederick, F4ECA, nice to have you on board, Frédéric. Bienvenue. Toujours un plaisir. So, Timo93 says, Shortwave God needs to decree better propagation. Unfortunately, I've got no choice. I have no possibility of changing anything with propagation. My God powers are not strong enough. Robert Prosper, nice to have you here. Those problems are a result of beer consumption. So, we'll talk a little bit about the shortwave bands. Somebody asked me what can you listen to in different frequency ranges. It seems 20 megahertz and above, there's nothing to listen to. So we'll have from 3 to 30 megahertz because by general convention, shortwave is from 3 megahertz to 30 megahertz. When you go above 30 megahertz, you now fall into the VHF low range. When you're below 3 megahertz, you fall into the medium wave range. So AM, or medium wave, actually goes all the way up to 3 megahertz in reality. So if you're listening to hams on 160 meters, 1.8 megahertz, these hams are not on shortwave. They're technically on medium wave. And they do have the same propagation characteristics often that medium wave actually displays. So let's go to the top, 29 megahertz. And I know a lot of people never heard anything above that frequency. I'll tune it here just for the purpose of demonstration, 29,500. So what's on 29 megahertz? That portion, for the most part, from 29 to 29,700, is still the 10-meter amateur radio band. I mean, the 10-meter amateur radio band is a huge, huge amateur band. It goes from 28,000 to 29,700 kilohertz, and it has different modes. So from 29,000 to 29,700, what you'll hear when propagation actually works is, why is there somebody calling me? With a number that I don't know who the hell they are. And basically, the band is divided into the bottom part, 29,000 to 29,200, 250. A lot of AMers, if you like AM mode amateur radio operators. And by the way, it is an official mode. I've seen a lot of people discussing on one of the groups the other day. They were hearing AMs on the AM mode on around 3885 in an 80 meter band, and somebody was saying, well, that's illegal. No, hams are allowed to go on whatever mode they want in the frequency range. There's a what people don't understand about the amateur bands is that the modes and the respect of the different modes isn't a law. You are not required to be in AM on 29,100. You could be in upper sideband and you're okay. You could be in lower sideband and you're okay. You could be in FM and you're okay. Because the mode of transmission, the fact that hams follow certain guidelines, is just um, rules that were made to try to make things better so that everybody understands, well, if you want to do some digital modes, you better be on that frequency range. And if you want to do some single sideband, well, lower sideband and those frequency range and upper sideband and the upper frequency range and all of that. But it is not a law. You aren't illegal if you're on 21,400 and you're in single sideband or you're in AM. You're not infringing on any rules. The rules are you got to stay within the ham bands, and the rules are you got to respect a certain amount of power and a certain size of when you're transmitting. So you can't go on the ham band and decide that you're going to have a 200 kilohertz wide signal. That would be illegal. Um, but if you respect the power and the size of bandwidth, and that you're an amateur band, and that you have the license required for that type of transmission and frequency range, the rest is just a convention. Rules were made to make things easier and have a clearer and more organized amateur radio band. But it's not a law. Somebody popping up in an AM signal on 14,150 isn't illegal. He's not following the conventions that were written, but there's nothing illegal about it. But the good sense of amateur radio operators make them follow the conventions. And 99% of all hams follow the conventions that were actually done in the rules. Like if you go on the ARRL website, you're going to see all the frequency ranges and the modes that you should follow and so on. As long as you follow certain important rules, the rest, most hams just go with the flow. They're like, and one great example of showing you where these regulations are not official rules. If you ever listen to an amateur contest, for example, radio teletype, there's the RTTY contest a few times a year. Most of the year they're in that, for example, on the 20 meter band, they'll be on 14,080 to 14,100. They'll stick to that little 20 kilohertz range. But when there's a contest, you start hearing RTTY up to 14,150, 14,160. And then you get all of these hams saying, well, that's illegal. No, it's not. You can be in FT8 mode on 14,200 if you want. It's your own decision. But following the rules makes things easier for everybody. And because there's this organization going on, at least you can follow the guidelines and know that, well, here I'm listening to a station in that mode because that's the general way that most hams will operate here. So it makes it easier for everybody to follow the rules anyways. But you don't have to. When people tell me, well, there was a signal in AM, no, he's allowed. 3885, 3880, 3875. For a long time, been known as an 80 meter AMer's little spot, And there's nothing illegal about that. They're allowed, and they would be allowed anywhere else in the 80 meter band if they want to, as long as they follow the real important rules. So to continue on the 29 megahertz range, 29,000 to 29,200, some AMers, when propagation works, it's kind of interesting to hear them. 29.2, 29.3 to 29.7 is in general FM mode. And this is interesting because a lot of people over the years have told me, well, I don't understand why my communications receiver has an FM mode. For example, when I got my Kenwood R5000, there was an FM button on it. And I get people saying, why is there an FM button on a shortwave receiver? Well, it's simple. FM mode is one of the modes that's possible. And the upper part of 29 megahertz, 29,300 to 29,700, a lot of FM mode there. There's FM repeaters also. So when propagation works, when solar activity is high, but even when it's low, if there's sporadic E-skip, for example, you might be surprised at what you can hear. Right now, I'm looking at the 29 megahertz range. There really isn't much happening on this frequency range right now, just by by looking at what's happening here. It's pretty dead. The only lines I get here are actually lines of pretty much of the local interference, but there's really nothing much here. There's something here which I don't think is a signal of any kind of. That's more of an interference than anything. And then above 29,700 to 30,000, it's kind of small utility frequency range where there could be technically utilities. I don't know. I've never heard. I don't believe I've ever heard anything from 29,700 to 30,000 in that little spot there ever. But it's utilities that could actually be on that frequency range. So that's 29,000 for you. 1 megahertz. 1 megahertz. Let's just go down the chat here so I can stay up to date with everybody. What else do we have? This is a don de Dieu, gift from God, actually. Joe Palu says, answer is it's an exciting credit card offer. What? Yeah, the call. I don't know what that was. They even left a message, I think. Missed call. Nope, they didn't leave a message. And it's a number I have no idea what it is. Yeah, exciting credit card offer. Yeah. You won $1 million. Yeah. Danny Shortwave and Radio DX, nice to have you on board from Yonkers, New York. Yes, I hope everybody had a great Christmas and that everybody have maybe received their little gift that they wanted for Christmas. I don't know if Santa was nice and brought you that radio you wanted. I hope. Robert Prosper, I still wonder what used to be above 20 megahertz. I know nothing is up there now save for CB, and why isn't CB generally taught as shortwave? Well, okay. CB is in the shortwave band. It's just that it's never taught of shortwave in itself. But it's just because nobody ever, it's an example. You listen to music on the FM band. Well, calling it the FM band is kind of just giving the mode of transmission. In reality, you should say, hey, I'm listening to music on VHF. Nobody says, oh, I'm listening to Shom FM on 97.7 VHF frequency. Nobody says that. Everybody says, oh, I'm listening to 97.7 FM. It's just that when people start talking about something in a certain way, that's pretty much how it goes. But up to 30 megahertz, everything that's up to 30 megahertz is shortwave. And you get to that point where, shortwave and the VHF low range, they share characteristics that are pretty similar. But there's a lot of stuff above 20 megahertz. The problem is propagation needs to be there to enable what's in that frequency range. I'm a big fan of the 10 meter band. And we're going to talk about 28 megahertz in a couple of minutes, which also is very nice. Nitak, nice to have you here. Speak Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. Apart from como está mi amigo, there's not a lot. I'm gonna I'm not a lot. I'm not gonna talk a lot about Spanish. JD Williamson says it's easier to find a signal in that mode where we stuck the mode definitions. It doesn't say you can only use that mode. Absolutely. Well, Robert Prosper, there's a lot of CBers that actually will um, actually do boost their power and do broadcast to the world. when Spartak E-skip happens, I get all of these American CBers from the East Coast and down up to Florida and Alabama and Texas on channel 6, 27025. They are not using 4 watts. I mean, they are using hundreds of watts. So yes, when conditions are right, yes, you would technically be able to talk to the world on the CB band. It's just that due to uh, solar activity that's very low and all of that, it isn't, it doesn't work very often. And, I remember in the 90s when solar activity was really, really high. I remember that CB band was constantly, almost every day, full of signals from U.S. CBers that just are illegal and use too much power. When conditions do work, yes, absolutely. Jada Wilson says you could SSTV in the middle of the CW portion. You'll be making friends real quick. Yeah, absolutely. Like Radioactive says also, if a ham operator doesn't follow the band plan guidelines, he will piss off a lot of hams. Absolutely. It's just that you can um, technically it's not an official rule. And yeah, well, my stereo mixer Radioactive is actually um, disabled. So it shouldn't. It shouldn't. And I usually don't have to listen in any months. It's kind of weird. David Arden says, I have seen older shortwave radios cover HF through 45 megahertz. Do you know if frequencies from 30 to 45 were ever used for broadcasting? No, most of the time these will be more of the basically extending into the lower VHF portion. So older radios will have that because for a while, a lot of the police, for example, or fire departments, in the first times that they were having their two-way radios, a lot of them were in the bottom part of 30 to 40, 50 megahertz. So basically what that would do is that they would make these radios cover, up to 50 megahertz. And by doing that, they would allow you not only to listen to your favorite shortwave broadcast, but they'll enable you to listen to maybe your local police or fire department, because a lot of them were using that frequency range at that time. Here in Montreal, the first time I listened to a a receiver above 30 megahertz, the police in Montreal was around 154 megahertz, 154 megahertz in VHF, and probably before that they were even in lower frequencies. I mean, when we got into the 50s or 60s, broadcasting on frequencies like at 2, 3, 400 megahertz, that was still a complex thing to do. It took a lot of time before receivers would be affordable and would be able to tune around higher frequency ranges. And it was the same for transceivers. So the police department would have a 35 megahertz frequency for their communications, because that was the thing back then. So some of them would actually have higher. I've seen a few radios that would go actually up to 50 or 40 megahertz Some I've seen one with 35, which was kind of weird. It's just in the, I think, the spirit of, well, if we made the radio go to 40 megahertz, it might give more communications that you can listen to. Simply that. And back then, when these receivers were made, there was probably a lot of stuff in the 30, 35, 40, 45 megahertz range that you could actually listen to in terms of two-way communications around you. As the years went by, and as higher frequency devices were more affordable, sorry, there was that's where we started having all of these departments move to higher frequency ranges. One of the things that was known is that if we moved the police from 45 megahertz and put in a new UHF range, you just narrowed down the number of receivers that could listen to it back then. Today, I mean, look at the RSP1. You go to 2 gigahertz. I mean, receivers today are cheap that can listen to frequencies that are really high, pretty amazing. Richard Cook, nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. Well, you know what? There's just gonna go here. Okay, so there's J.D. Williamson says, can tell you 36 megahertz still used by government in Holland. I can tell you that even in the United States, there's public safety stuff and the bottom part of 30, 40 megahertz. And even here, I haven't done it in a long, long time. But even here, I remember maybe a year or two ago, I wondered what there was on 30 to 50 megahertz locally. So I let my scanner go through 30 to 50 megahertz. And I let it go for hours. And I was surprised to note that there was at least a dozen different things that I could hear of two-way communications that I couldn't figure out who they were, but I could figure out, okay, there's still two-way communications in the bottom part of the VHF range, that's for sure. And there was a lot of these receivers, David Arden, that were around that period of World War II and later that would go to 40 megahertz. It was kind of something they would do very often. Evlassi in Oakland, California, nice to have you here. Gary Surratt, nice to have you on board. Gary from the UK. P1WX from the Netherlands, nice to have you here. Rick Sader, nice to have you here. Could be the microphone. Do you have either microphone you can go to? The problem is I would have to restart the stream to switch microphone, because the other microphone I have would be in the camera itself. But I need to restart. I think I need to restart the stream. Actually, restart Wirecast in order to see it if I enable it, because I usually always disable it. What else do we have? 700 Wheat Killer, nice to have you here. Fernando Stretchy, nice to have you on board. What else do we have? Matt says, got $175 worth of gift certificates to Ham Radio Outlet in a cross-country wireless pre-selector for Christmas. So that's good. I'll actually be going to HR soon for cables to connect the pre-selector. Nice. Summerflyer 1, nice to have you on board. And yeah, I did have a great Christmas. Yeah, it might happen. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know why it kind of does that from time to time. It's very, very weird. I'm sorry, guys. We'll try to fix it for the next stream for sure. What language is on 11850? I'll see if I hear anything on 11850 first of all. Yeah, there's something, I don't know what that language is. I really don't know. If I look at EIBI space 11850, what I have here is Voice of America, and I don't know, it's 21, okay, 2030 to 21 HA, that means it should be in Hausa. which is an African language. So that's supposed to be Hausa, which really is an African language. So, Timo 93 says the FM band used to be 42 to 50 megahertz in the US. Oh, really? I didn't know that until 1945. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Pretty cool. What language is it on 1150? So it's Hausa. 3830 Radio Man, nice to have you here. Says California Highway Patrol uses 42 megahertz. So yeah, there's a lot of when propagation actually opens up. I hear a lot of stuff from the US still in the bottom part of 30 and 40 megahertz. Madrid DX says I've received here in the UK transmissions from the USA on 30 plus megahertz a few years ago. Police and fire department during F2 propagation. Absolutely, absolutely. I've received the same here. When propagation is open or when there's sporadic e-skip, I will have a tendency to tune in from 30 to 50 megahertz. CR, hello, nice to have you on board from Brazil. PY2NN. Pretty cool. Danny Shortwave Radio DX says I pick up public works department and some local private paramedics around 45. So you know. Sakura DX is listening to open radio from North Korea on 7480 kilohertz. Interesting. Hey, Pam, nice to have you on board. Yeah, I'm just gonna pick it up. I wanted to pick it up to show you guys, but I did have from Fastlove that came over on Christmas Eve a little gift, which actually had it for a while, and we were supposed to meet up several times so he could actually bring it to me. But look at this, guys. I have a cool Toshiba analog receiver with that nice little S meter here. And so this is the RPF11, a Toshiba analog radio. Really, really cool. So this is a gift from Fastload at Christmas. And I've been having a lot of fun. It's really cool to tune around. It's a 1983 analog portable. And it's pretty cool. Pretty cool, honestly. Had a lot of fun with this. Really had a lot of fun with this. Richard Cook says, I thought it was one of the African languages. Yeah, that one at least is Hausa. Ravelda65, nice to have you here. Jeffrey Crop, nice to have you on board from New Hampshire. Best wishes also, absolutely. Now open radio, North Korea shifted 7485. Probably avoid jamming, yeah. That's what I was thinking. Where's the parent flag? It's there. I know I need to find a place. Robert Prosper, are there any broadcasts in Esperanto? Yeah, there are still some broadcasts in Esperanto. China Radio does. Radio Vanuatu also has some. I think Radio Romania still has some. I'm not sure on that one. But there are still a few stations that have Esperanto. It's interesting. That language that we're supposed to have like, a in universal language with Esperanto, and I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, maybe Vatican Radio. Possibly. I wouldn't be surprised Vatican Radio still does Esperanto. But China Radio International, I know they do it, and I know that Radio Vanuatu still does it. These two do it still today. Douglas Perry, nice to have you on board from Ontario, Canada. Ronald Hester, nice to have you here from North Carolina, USA. You have a ham license, but not active on the ham bands. My call is KD4IJS. I got into shortwave in the 60s. Retired, have more time for shortwave. Use an ICOM R718 receiver and a G5 RV antenna. Cool. Nice equipment. The R718 is an amazing radio. I do like the S meter also. It's something cool on that little thing. That Toshiba thing is just crazy. Yeah, it is very, very nice. I love it. I mean, this is a beautiful radio. It's I've listened to it for a few days, and I'm kind of in love with it. There's something about that, old time analog style radio. You got the bands here, and so of course you got the different bands. The only thing is there are some transmissions you can't hear because back in 1982 the international broadcast band had a certain length. So some of the international broadcast band here actually don't go up to certain frequencies. Like for example, if I wanted to tune um, WRMI at 7780 kilohertz, I would not be able because the 41 meter band doesn't go that high here. It all depends on what transmission, but overall, it's a nice radio and it's actually very sensitive. Has beautiful audio off of this speaker here. Really beautiful audio. An amazing radio, I can tell you guys. Quite heavy also, and there's even antenna connector terminals in the back, as you can see here. So it's kind of cool. The drawback I have from it, we'll review it by the way. The drawback that I have from it is that it overloads with FM signals here on certain frequency ranges in the shortwave bands. That's the negative part of it that I would say, but it's great. Love the radio, I can tell you that. There was a movie made in Esperanto, really? Wow. With William Shatner. Okay, I didn't know that. So, yeah, I did several videos on Christmas Day. I was tuning around the bands and checking out sensitivity. It's actually very sensitive. It's one of the radios I will do. In 2019, I have a lot of things that I want to do. That I've been in the past 2 years. I've been quite busy. There's been a lot of things. 2018 has been a hell of a ride for me. Lots of stuff happening. Some not cool. But 2019, I'll be 50 years old in March, and one of the things that I told myself is that in 2019, I will have more outing of radio receivers. I was thinking I'm going to get myself a new bike, and I was thinking I'm going to go to a gazillion different spots around Montreal and do some shortwave listenings for a full day. And one of the radios I will bring, of course, is the Toshiba one. So if you see a somewhere in May or April, May, June, when the weather permits, a Perry Island with Toshiba, that's going to happen for sure. But I want to do more of that. I haven't done enough, and you know what? Time flies. And what I noticed with 2018 is how I just didn't see the year go by. It seems I was there and then we started the year and it's gone. So I need to do more of those, and I want to take more time to do radio videos outside and stuff. I think that will be my 2018 stuff. It'll be much more, and there'll be different parts of Montreal that I'll be going to for sure. Ernie Turner from Australia, nice to have you here. VK3DET. They were saying there was a heat wave in Australia. They were talking about that in the news today, where in Sydney it was like 40 plus Celsius. That is really hot. And actually, I have my nephew, Ernie. My nephew, Francois, is got a visa, and he's going to be spending the next 3 years in Australia with his girlfriend that will be studying there. And even Gabriel, that some of you know, is going to the Formula One racing I think it's in March. They'll be at the F1 race in Australia. It's kind of cool. Kind of cool. Yeah, Esperanto, William Helms, absolutely. It was supposed to be a universal language. Never got off the ground. You know why? Because people are, in general, people are just too lazy. For something like that to take off, we need to be forced to learn it. So we would have had to have regulations and say, hey, in school we're going to learn Esperanto. Maybe that would have worked. But, nah. I've never actually even seen anybody around me that actually spoke or understood Esperanto. I don't believe I've never seen one. PLF radio. Is this Toshiba radio? Is your favorite analog radio? You know what? Of course, it's difficult to say yes to that question, PLF radio, for a very simple reason. It's brand new for me. So, of course, right now, my focus, my attention is on to the Toshiba because I kind of like it. I want to tune around with it. Now, if I go back, let's say that I try to detach myself from the fact that it's a new radio, and I look at all the analog radios I've got here. I would say it's. I'll say it quickly. It's probably, if not the my favorite analog, it's close to being my favorite analog. Probably. That's what I would say. And I was surprised. I didn't know that Toshiba actually made radios. I mean, I know Toshiba for tons of things. I have a Toshiba laptop, a Toshiba TV. There's Toshiba stuff everywhere, but I had never seen a Toshiba radio. So, kind of interesting. Marco, African Pathway, strong 11965. Let's check it out. 11965 from Madagascar Relay. Usually comes in really well. Yeah.
Confine the scripture. However, there are things we can do with our women, with our wives, with our mothers, with our daughters.
11965. This is from Madagascar. Really good signal right now. Elton Byington, nice to have you here, says Toshiba's answer to the Sony ICF 7600 line. Yeah, possible. So, yeah, that's what I was in turn talking. We saw some in the news today. They were talking about it, and Sakura DX cannot get signals on the 11965. Yeah, it's meant more for Africa, so it's kind of transmitting away from in Japan. Tam says some of those radios go for silly money. Yeah, I know. But you know what? I'm not a. It's interesting because somebody had emailed me a couple of months back saying, you know what, that radio you reviewed, it's going for a really high amount of money. If you want to make some cash and buy some new receivers and stuff. But the thing is I'm not getting these radios for the money they're worth. I don't really care about that. Actually, it's part of my own way of being simply a guy that isn't surfing on money. Money is not a priority for me. If it was a priority, I don't know if I would be here doing these live shows. I mean, monetization on YouTube is good and all, but I ain't getting rich, and I would be doing something else probably. I rather have less money, but do what I like and what I want, and have more time to enjoy radio and enjoy life. That's my priority. Having more time to enjoy life rather than having more money. That's for sure. Yeah, I could do a lot more with more money, but that's not my priority. Yeah, here it's in Celsius. It's +2 right now, which is like I don't know, 35 Fahrenheit. Arthur's Alleycrafter's Kitchen. Your Toshiba looks like to be a competitor. It's a competition of a Sony model. No doubt they added the S meter as a feature that compelling Sony didn't have. I like that S meter. It's kind of cute to see it there. And I had never seen a analog radio with an S meter actually. Even Fasto didn't give it to me. He said, "I like that S meter," and I said, "I love that S meter. It's kind of cute." I'm kind of hypnotized when I listen to a signal or a station. I'm hypnotized by the S meter moving up and down with the signal. It's crazy. Ernie Turner says cooler this morning with some rain. Yeah, I hope it gets a little cooler though. Yeah, well, Arta's Crafter's Kitchen says Swiss Radio International used to be Esperanto. A lot of shortwave stations from the past were had Esperanto in the language. Hey Mick says 50 is a great age to kickstart life. Go for it. Yeah, that's pretty much what I want to do. I want to take more time to do what I ain't been doing for the past 2 years, and I know I'm gonna have a lot more fun by enjoying that more. And I know you guys are gonna have more videos of me outside somewhere, not just local park and not just Perry Island. Although Perry Island will be one of the places I'll go from time to time for sure. So So Fanny Xenakis, there used to be a broadcast from Vatican in Esperanto, but what else? Yeah, like I said, I believe Radio Romania still has one Esperanto broadcast. I know Radio Havana Cuba does, and I know that Channel Radio also does. It is a cool looking S meter. Absolutely, Arches of Crafters. Fanny Xenakis, Esperanto is a true globalist language intended to replace cultural differences between peoples with a one world UN government. They're managing that, but with English rather than Esperanto, it seems. Yeah, well, English has been pretty much dominating everywhere. I mean, look at it here. I mean, when we talk about languages, I live in the perfect spot for people to talk about languages because Quebec is the francophone province of Canada. There are some French language, um, Canadians in other provinces, but the big concentration, the big place where everything is French, is Quebec. And it's creating a debate. There's always been a big debate with French and English in Canada. And I mean, it's crazy. But a lot of my friends didn't learn English. I mean, in school here is the worst place to learn English. You're not learning English in schools here at all. Um, Obviously, the focus is really towards French. But you know what? I learned English in the streets because my neighbors were English and I started playing with them. I was 5, 6, 7 years old. That's where I learned my English. That's where I learned to speak English. And you know what? When I look at some of my friends, I'm actually happy. I do find it important to keep my French language alive. And I would say in a full week, 7 days, I mean, with my friends and everything, we speak in French. That's for sure. I will spend, if I remove YouTube videos off of my life, my spoken language is French probably 90% of the time in a week. The English side goes with the YouTube channel videos. And I've had a lot of people, especially from France, that told me so many times, what you do is amazing. Why aren't you doing a French language shortwave channel with French language live shows? And you guys are going to find it really weird, but for some reason, I'm more comfortable doing it in English here than I actually am comfortable doing it in French. And I don't know why. It's crazy. But, I'm happy. But, I've had some of my friends that were actually denied really good jobs because they didn't speak English. And it's a fact of life. You got to stop, being an ostrich and put your hand in the sand and face the fact that, you know what, learning English is going to help you in life. There's no doubt about it. Right? Learning English is going to help you out. That is probably true. David Arden says most people don't know what Esperanto is. Absolutely. Imagine the young generation today. I learned Esperanto, what it was, because of shortwave. Because I would see that Esperanto language all the time and think, what is that, Esperanto? What country? Because the first thing you think when you don't know what it is what country speaks Esperanto? And for a while, I thought Esperanto was, I don't know, Spain or something. And then one day I came across an article or something, and I saw that Esperanto was, oh, okay, it's meant to be a universal language. But I don't know what Esperanto was. I was, when I started listening to Shortwave, I saw this Esperanto thing. It was like, what country speaks Esperanto? Because we always flag countries with their languages. We always flag, the UK or the United States with English, or France with French. And I couldn't put a pinpoint a what country is Esperanto from. And that's where I learned, oh, okay, it's basically, you know, universal language. They're trying to push a universal language, which I remember, first time I learned what it was, I remember I thought it was kind of cool. Oh, why not? The universal language, that could be cool. Funny Xenakis says it's English because of the U.S. dominance. I think it's more than that. It's not just because of the dominance of necessarily of a country. There are a mix of things that makes English what it is. Yes, of course, U.S. Um, you know, the music and the movies and everything. Yeah, of course, there is a dominance of English because of that. But I think that English, there's a lot of languages that we learn. And, just look at French and English. Honestly, English is kind of easier to learn than French is. French has so many different little weird things. Try to write a good French. I'm an awful French writer. I will not write a full sentence without having a couple of glitches in it. But I am actually better at writing an English sentence without any problems. Simply because there's less of these rules that because of this or that, and it has to be written like this and something like that, and you know. So it's not just French. I mean, there's a lot of languages around the world that are dreadfully complicated. For example, we were talking about Spanish earlier. I was listening to a podcast for a while that's called Coffee Break Spanish. It's a 7 or 8 minute podcast to have you learn Spanish. Well, there are things that's making it easier for me to learn Spanish. For example, that some words are masculine, some words are feminine. That's something you don't see in English, but you do see it in French. So it already helps me understand some of the stuff in Spanish because, oh, okay, you got feminine and masculine words, like French language does also. It's crazy. What else do we have? Nothing by any time. I think that model was also sold under the Kenwood brand. Really? Interesting. T-Mode 11965, I guess. Yeah. Is great in Maryland on his Sony 2010. That's a great radio. A great Sony radio. Strong Carrier 9900, which is probably Carrier with always that broken audio. Arthur's Alley Crafters. They all turned out okay not learning Esperanto, although college I went to offered it as a class at one time. Kind of cool. Incubus, made in 1966, Esperanto language movie. Wow. Vianney Arsenault, bonjour, bienvenue. Toujours un plaisir de vous avoir de la Gaspésie. Oui, j'ai de l'écho, comme la dernière fois. Je ne sais pas pourquoi. I don't know why. I'll have to fix it. I'll fix it for next show, for sure. I don't want to spend an hour just trying to fix the sound. Well, we'll keep it like this for now. You know. Pick him up, Pyongyang 9665, Richard. Sakura DX on 9420. Good music from Greece. Wow, you're getting Greece on 9420 on your XH Data D808. Let's check out here if it's coming in. Yeah, it is there. is there? S9, around an S9 signal here, Montreal. Tam says, straight from the hip, practical advice on live show, well said. Yeah, you know. Mike DX, good thing about 50 is young people think you're old and old people think you're young. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's really, really exactly it. Because I get these young guys says, well, you're old. And I get these older guys that are like, wow, you're so young, man. 50? Nothing there. You're still young. Oh, man. What else do we have? It's like a clone of the early 7600 of Sony, with an S meter. Huh, interesting. So, Sakura.ex says D808 and CR1 are now with me on board. I think D808 performs better than CR1. Wow, kind of interesting. That is kind of a very interesting one. Wow, this is pretty cool. Going down, we'll try to go down a little faster, hopefully. 2SD251, Jim, nice to have you on board. KB8YBG, is that a transistor number, 2SD251? Jim? Looks like a transistor type. David Arnangel, you are fortunate to be bilingual. I wish I had more contact with German, but there are a few German speakers around me. You know, one of the things I absolutely adore with the fact that I speak English and French was on the African stations when the 80s. There's a lot of African stations on the shortwave tropical bands. And I was happy because I could easily listen to them and do reception reports in French to these stations. And that was cool because I was, for me it was easy. I could easily understand and send a report back. Joshua Gosnell, nice to have you here from Salem. Nice to have you here. W4GOG, pretty cool. Archer's Alley Crafters, prices of realistic DX200 have gone through the roof. I got mine at Goodwill for $15. Now it's selling $100, $200 on eBay. I would not pay $200 for a DX200, honestly. That's way, way too much, Way too much. Come on. No, I never seen either a portable that small with an S meter. Kind of makes it really cool. Sakura DX, I remember the good tasty food at a restaurant in Düsseldorf, Germany. The woman of the Greek restaurant, told me to say hello and goodbye. Yasu. Matam Valley, a sort of strong carrier, no modulation on 15580. Absolutely, learning English is helping you out in almost everywhere you go. You can easily find somebody that speaks English in almost any country. That's for sure. Marco, voice of Nigeria, battling Radio España, 9690. 9690. Oh, guys, I feel like crap right now. I've got Spain. I don't know English. I'm only no redneck. Oh, man. Vianney says, I agree with you, Jill, for English language. I don't have a perfect English, but for the job, I was happy to know English for sure. And with hobby and radio communications, it's essential. Absolutely. I have too many people around me that have poo-pooed English, because they're from Quebec. There are some English language haters, absolutely. Like there's French language haters in Canada. I mean, on both sides. And when I hear somebody poo-poo English, well, it's not important. I always kind of frown a little bit because it's like, well, if you want to be somebody in life, you better have some English because you won't. One of my best friends from when I was young worked for a really big company, and he had an offer for a job, which was one of those lifetime jobs that you're like, it's one of those jobs that you've got an opportunity in life that's just amazing. And he had the qualifications because he was really good in what he did, but he didn't speak English. And I remember we went to a restaurant, and he told me, "Man, it's a bummer. They're turning me down because I don't speak English." And I said, "Okay, why don't you learn English?" And he said, "Well, maybe it's too late." I said, "You know what? You should contact them and say, okay, if I learn English, because he was so good in what he did, I was sure that company wanted him, but they just bogged down because of the English." And he called me back a couple of days later, said, "Well, I called him back. They said, oh, well, wait, if you can learn English in the next year enough to be able to work a conversation a little bit." So I said, "Well, you know what? There's these intense classes that it's like immersion. You're just in an English world all the time. You're going to learn English real fast with that. You should go into one of those." And a year later, he had a job, and it changed his life totally. And now he's happy, and he speaks English as good as me, if not better. It's just crazy. Yeah, PLF radio. I would say it's more of that. Yeah, British Empire stuff. English, here English in Canada is not because of the U.S. English in Canada is like in the U.S. English in the U.S. is not because of the U.S. English is because we all come from. Well, I don't. I come from descendants from France, but the majority of North America that speaks English was descended from England. So the English comes from England, actually, technically, much more than anything else. It's just that the U.S. dominance with the culture probably helped propagate it a lot more. Steve Frost. Hi, I have the 450D. What do you think of the receiver side? I have not tried long wire as it on it yet. Um, it's okay. It's sensitive. It's sensitive. I mean, you'll have some nice reception with it, but unfortunately, a long wire might easily overload it. So I don't know. It depends on how strong the signals are where you are, for sure. Andy Coley, nice to have you on board, my friend. Oh, this thing is trying to. Darn. Just, you guys haven't seen it. I'm using my sock to clean up the beer on the floor. Shh, don't tell anyone. You know that thing you do when you're like, okay, I got nothing around. What can I do? Okay, I'm going to use my sock and just clean up the floor with it. Sorry, guys. Cosmic Lettuce from cold southern Arizona. Snow on the ground. Wow. Here it's plus 2 degrees, about 35 Fahrenheit. It started out as snow last night, freezing rain this morning, and it's went above zero today. We're having up here. It's a roller coaster of temperature. It's plus 5 Celsius one day and minus 16 the next day. It's been crazy like that for the past month. So, for example, today we're supposed to have later apparently plus 7, which would put us in the 40s at least. And on Sunday morning, when I'm going to go for the International Radar Report, it's supposed to be minus 16, which is like almost 0 Fahrenheit. Crazy. Just crazy. Danny Radio, Shortwave Radio DX, found it easier to learn French when I took it in college because I know English and Spanish. Yeah, that helps you because there's a mix of all of that in French. Um, Joshua says, got a FT450, good receiver, good audio filter. Hey, FT450. Nice to have you here. Vianney says, French language has so many synonyms for the same definition with different level. Yeah, it's super complex. You know, maybe that's what's pushing my French away a little bit because I've never been good in written French and everything, and because I do have some slight Quebecois accent in my French, that's the reason why I'm not totally confident in doing a French language channel. You know, Nick Mayakovsky, nice to have you here. My French is awful despite being in the Quebec English school system in the 60s and 70s. They did not try to teach us Quebec street French for one thing, but we do okay in Paris. Well, the same on the other side, Nick. French language in Quebec, English language learning in Quebec's French school system is horrible. You're not learning English there, that's for sure. Brent Wayne from Salamanca, New York. Nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let's go down a little bit faster. PLF Radio. I think for non-French speakers, the spelling of French can be hard to learn. Absolutely. It's a very complex thing. It's one thing, and we got to understand, it's one thing speaking a language and writing the language. There's very two different things, speaking and writing the language. Matam Bali says, I took French in high school for 3 years. The teacher was a ridiculously hot French femme. So that's why you stayed for 3 years, because she was just cute and hot. And, you'd hope that someday she would tell you in French something like, Tu viens chez moi ce soir? Which means, are you coming with me at home tonight? Coming home with me tonight? Oh, man. Okay, let's go down a little. Lou Rubens, hello there. Nice to have you on board. There's some activity on 20 meters today. Yeah, in the mornings, there's been a lot of activity on 20 meters, actually. I've been having a lot of signals from Europe. And early mornings here, I would say around 13 to 16, 1700 UTC. Easily. Yeah, Mandarin. Chinese Mandarin is very, very complex. Very complex. Absolutely. Danny Shortwave says, my wife speaks Dutch and English. I speak English and Spanish. Talk about a multilingual household. Yeah, absolutely. That's good. Corn Patch DX, thanks to have you here from Iowa. Oh, absolutely, Arthur. And they want us to try to move to Chinese. Gunner 66, nice to have you on board from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Cool. We've got Saskatchewan, we've got Ontario, we've got British Columbia. We've got, of course, Quebec. We need to have every spot of Canada. That would be nice. F4 IDL, good evening. Nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. Billy Laptop, nice to have you on board. Happy New Year. Pretty cool. Cyberflyer, yeah, everything is muted. It's just, there's only one microphone working right now. And I don't know why it does that echo. It's as if there's some kind of glitch. I've been thinking that the stereo mix, even though I disabled it, is still active. Richard Cook's got BBC strong on 12095. Let's check it out here. Kind of weak. I hear it, but it's kind of weak. Kevin Wood, nice to have you on board. Nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. Cuban Lady on 11635. 11635. Well, there's a good signal. There's a good signal. There's a good signal. Scott Cranston, nice to have you here from rainy New England. Certainly true that English is the best language to be monolingual in. F4 IDL. Aren't socks made for this in the first place? Yeah. Yeah, probably. James Megawatt, nice to have you on board. Arthur's Alley Crafter's Kitchen. Agreed, and I thought $15 was too much, but eBayers take advantage of nostalgia craze. People wanting to recapture. Yeah, but we got to be careful with YouTube radios. One of the things that I've noticed with YouTube radios is that um, eBay radios, all the radios on eBay are often very expensive, but when you look at it, they often don't sell at all. You got to be careful with that for sure. Oh yeah, Nick is in Nova Scotia, so we got Nova Scotia. Forgot about that. Nick is in Nova Scotia there, so we're getting there. Martin Bali says, "Hey, I learned French definitely. I just didn't keep it active, and now, yeah, that's the problem with languages. We got to keep it active. You know what? When I started doing YouTube videos back in 2011, I understood one thing. I understood English very well because I would listen to a lot of English language shows. When a movie came out, I always wanted to listen to it in English rather than the French translation. So my listening was good, but I noticed that not speaking English much over 20 years, I was freezing every word. Every 5 words, I was freezing on what I need to say and what word to use here. And, today I still freeze from time to time. I'll have a little brain freeze on what's that word for that thing. And but it's much better today. But when I did videos in 2011, I would actually restart the videos a dozen times because I just couldn't find the words. I was always bogged down. I was always freezing and having a difficulty finding the words I need to use. When you don't actually practice a language, you lose it at some point. Mark Cup says 20 meters been good early in the morning, Texas. Yep, probably because it's pretty much the same morning as here in Montreal for sure. Neville Bourne, nice to have you on board, my friend. Pretty cool. Half Paul, the Catholic of the split beer, the spelt beer. Oh man. Danny Shortwave says someone's selling a realistic DX200 for $275 or make offer. Yeah, I will offer him $50. $275 is ridiculous. Absolutely. Hey, Jerome's too. Yeah, but I only have one. When I look at the settings here, there's only one. I don't understand it. I'll check one last thing here that I just thought of. If I go into the control panel, I just want to see if the camera's microphone. It's driving me nuts. I mean, it's really driving me nuts, honestly. Sound. So I've got one sound. Speakers for playback. I've got Realtek high definition audio for the microphone. Stereo mix is disabled. Yeah, let's try something, guys. But I don't know if it's going to change anything. Just out of curiosity. Has this changed anything? I've actually disabled even the outboard sounds. Everything's disabled except the microphone. I don't know if it changes anything. I don't think it does, but if it does, ooh, you know. So Neville Bourne is near Hanover. Cool to have you on board. And yep, some eBay prices are totally ridiculous. Absolutely. Kenwood TS850 for $1,200. Nah, sorry. Nick Mayakovsky, that graphic display here is the SDR Play RSP1A receiver. And so I'm listening right now, it's tuned to 11635. And I've got some signals in the 25 meter band in here. But it's the SDR Play. Oh, really? It's gone? Wow, okay. Well, now I know what to do. I should have done that. I should have tried that from the start. You know what? That means the stereo mix is still going in. Even though it's disabled, it's still going in. That is so weird. That is so weird. Yeah, when you're not used to, everyone freezes absolutely, even in their native tongue. When you're not, and making videos is something. Making live shows. People think that just being here and talking it just goes with the flow, no problem. No, no, no. Like 80% of the people that just be doing what I do in front of a camera will freeze up. You gotta forget there's a camera, and you gotta forget people are watching to some extent, because I mean, you are going to, to freeze, and I mean a brain freeze is easy, and also the fact that I'm very relaxed doing these live shows. I have no stress doing these live shows, so it helps a lot. But if there's a little bit of stress, one of the things for sure is that you freeze up even easier. Okay, that's kind of interesting. The perfect audio now. Okay. Wow, this is really, really, really weird. Well, I don't have stereo, David Arden. This should be mono normally. But you know what? I think my camera, when I put the camera, I think that camera has stereo sound to it, not just mono. I believe it has stereo sound. So that means that if I would enable the camera's microphones, that would be in stereo. So, So, because there's only one Joe. Yeah. Hey, Inufumi Yokoyama, nice to have you here. Hey, let's just quickly, before we continue down the bands and the megahertz, I like the fact that I talk about stuff, and I think it's like a million other, a million different shows to talk about a subject, because I blabber so much about so many things. So, first of all, YouTube, if you want to help me with donations of some sort, help me stay on the air, PayPal. You can go to paypal.me/shortwave, or you can send it to the Yahoo email that I will put here. And I got another PayPal, so if that one's too complex, you can also send it to the PayPal on this email. So if you find the Yahoo one too complex, the Gmail one will also work, because I got two different PayPals right now. I've activated another one for another reason, for something else, but both will work. Whatever you want to use, just go there. And of course, Patreon. Join, I believe, 12 patrons that I have right now that give me a little something every month. Just be careful how you set it up, because it's a little tricky. Patreon.com/radio and computers. And thanks for everybody that have donated. And, as every time, I'm trying to reach out to anybody that never donated, but likes what I do and been watching for years. And if you got a little something to spare, why not spare a little something? And I mean, anything helps. You don't have to send a lot of money. And of course, for those of you that send very small amounts, I am aware that PayPal charges fees. Just every week, every month, add them up, and at some point give me a bigger donation, so that that fee doesn't gobble up half of the donation. And here's the Cuban number. I also want to say, if you are a Spectrum Monitor subscriber, Remember, your subscription just ended in December. You have to renew your subscription for January. And today, January edition, January 2019 of the Spectrum Monitor with understanding effective radiated power, APRS and other digital modes, HF transmitter hunting with TDOA, and winter reading shortwave book reviews. And of course, a lot more. So, January Spectrum Monitor is out. Check it out. I'll be reading that tonight. That's going to be my my feeling crappy and sick weekend, reading and listening to the radio. So check it out. It's out now. Spectrum Monitor for January of 2019, a new year coming up in just a few days. And if I don't do the show tomorrow because I feel a little sick, this might be the last show of 2018. Incredible, eh, guys? I just can't believe how fast the year went by. Like I was saying earlier. You are watching the Shortwave Show. My name is Joe. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and I just can't stop talking. And thank God, because this show would be boring if I would just like sit down and, imagine I would just like. So, no, that would be kind of, sad. Nice to have everybody here, and it's always nice to have you on board. You know what? Somebody, just before we continue, somebody the other day gave me a nice, generous donation. And he told me, you know what? I gave you a generous donation last year in December, and I think of it as a subscription to Gilles' live shows. And I said, oh, that's kind of an interesting way to think about it, And it's yeah, why not? Why not think about, well, you give me a donation once a year, but consider that donation is the, it's like a subscription to a year of Gilles' live shows. And I thought that was a good way of thinking about it, too. Nodrog Anson, nice to have you here. Your English is far better than mine, and I'm a 75-year-old Englishman. Very interesting talk and enjoying your show. Thank you very much. Nice to have you on board. You know what? It was so funny because I posted a video last year, I think, and there was a guy, there's always these trolls and people that just say stupid comments. The comment on the video was, well, you should learn to speak better English. And one of you guys, I don't remember was who, but I know it's one of you guys that's always here in the live shows, posted right underneath, well, that guy, talking about me, Gilles, speaks better English than most Americans. So actually, he's really good. And I was like, oh, okay, somebody took my defense in the chat, or not the chat, but in the comments I found it so funny. I woke up in the morning, I looked at it, saw the first one's like, your English is bad. And then I saw somebody else like, well, his English is better than a lot of English-speaking people. Callum, too, nice to have you here. Mick says, yeah, it's about time I put my hand in my pocket again, Joe. Thanks, Mick. Okay, Mad Radio DXer liked the echo. If Gilles was a shortwave god. Now there's going to be a fight in the chat room. It's like, I want to have the echo back. You know what? That echo, when I was listening to it, because you guys refer to Spanish a lot, it reminds me of I think there was this Venezuelan station, radio, oh man, what was it? It was on 4980, I think. Ecos del Torbes. And they would announce Ecos del Torbes with that echo in the back. I could have made some announcements of the shortwave live show with the echo in it. Sakura DX, languages are very important tools. I learned English, I taught English, but now my English rusted away, but not enough. But just enough to communicate with you. At least a minimum. Yeah, the feedback was the problem. The feedback was a problem. First Michael, last Waylon. How is the solar flares going on? Well, there's no solar flares per se, because we're in the low portion of the solar activity. What's happening now, and I don't know, because 2100, I think there's a... Can anybody look at the latest K index, K indice? Because earlier, PLF Radio, I think you're the one that posted it. But that was the earlier one. At 2100, they refreshed. There's a new... so the K index may have gone lower or higher. It looks a little bit... I don't know. It doesn't look that bad, actually. We need to check it out. For sure. Matt says, that's what I do. Donate once every 4 months instead of every month. And thanks for the reminder to renew my subscription to Monitor. Spectrum Monitor. Yeah, I did. I thought about it, I think it was yesterday. Because I was doing a few things, and I stumbled across the Spectrum Monitor on something that I was doing, and I was like, oh man, I got to renew my subscription. And I did it yesterday morning. I thought, okay, I got to do my subscription. And the funniest part is I took the wrong PayPal, because there are two PayPal. I got two PayPals. One is on a bank account that I never use. So that account has like, I don't know, $3 in it, and I never use it. And when I looked, I said, oh, I used the wrong PayPal. That means I gotta go and put some money in that account, or else it's not going to go through. So I had to take a walk yesterday to actually deposit like $40 in that account so that I could pay the special monitor. I was like, oh man, I used the wrong PayPal. But it was okay. My client card was all bent up in different parts. So I went to the counter. The lady was there, a very nice lady. She looked at my card. She says, wow. That card still works, and I had taped my client card in many ways, and said, well, until today it did, but now when I just put it into the ATM, it just said your card's not good, and it just sent me the card back. I think it's time to change the card now. Hey, JD Wilson, yeah. I'm not sure I'm going to do a show tomorrow. I feel like crap. Like I said at the beginning, for those that are just joining, I have kind of a flu bug, and I feel like crap. I mean, I'm doing the show, and I really feel like crap. So I thought that I'm going to do the one today, and maybe take a break tomorrow, because I think I'm going to, it would be a good idea to just take it easy for the next few days. Really feeling crappy. Today's the worst day. Yesterday and the day before, all I had was kind of a throat infection, but I felt still good. Today that's gone, but I feel like my body's fighting something, because I'm tired today. When I started the show, it was like, oh man. I think an hour before I started the show, I was like, oh man, I'm going to do a live show now. I probably feel and probably look like crap. But it's like, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. So Romania, 6170. Let's check it out. Is it here? Romania? And 7310 also coming in well. Radio Romania, 7310.
I would like it. Yes, to be aware of the possibility that their planned business is truly offline. I would like them to be realistic and think that the number of jobs they can create and support. In principle, the higher the procurement value in a contract, the higher its chances to be approved.
So Radio Romania, 6170, 7310, coming in well here. Yeah, Brian, Iowa. I think probably we have the same flu bug or something. It started in my throat. It was really hurting bad like 2 days ago. A little less yesterday. And woke up this morning and it felt like crap. And actually last night I was sleeping and I woke up. I was freezing. Then I woke up. I was too hot. I was like, okay, I probably have some fever now. David Arden, how often do you DX medium wave? I just got my NRC AM log for Christmas. It is great. I'm trying to find one station on every medium wave frequency. You know what? I have not. Last time I had the NRC AM radio log was like 20 years ago. And one of the things I've noticed, like a couple of evenings this week, the shortwave propagation was really bad. And I was like, man, there's not that much on shortwave tonight. And I resorted back to VHF using the SDR play. But you know what? I think there's a lot of fun to be had on medium wave DXing. Absolutely. So, and I need to do more of that. You know what? That is actually a fun thing, David. I need to do that. Sit down and try to log at least one station on every 10 kilohertz of the spectrum. You know what? I did some medium wave DXing this week because I was using my Toshiba analog that Fastload gave me at Christmas. And I thought, you know what? Shortwave was bad. I couldn't listen to a lot of stuff. I went to medium wave on it, and I started slowly moving up the medium wave band and listening in. And you know what? It was so funny because I was in the kitchen, and I started tuning up, and that was on Christmas Day, actually. And on Christmas Eve, I had vodka and cranberry juice. And on Christmas Day, I saw the vodka bottle, and I was like, oh, that's Christmas. Vodka cranberry or a bloody Caesar. And I just sat down in the kitchen and started tuning medium wave on this. I didn't even go through all the band because on a couple of channels, I don't know who it was, I don't remember who it was, but it was one of the popular US kind of announcer or somebody that's well known. And they were talking about subjects that were kind of interesting. So as I was going up, I was always stopping on one of the frequencies. Like they were always talking about something that's kind of cool. I was like listening in, sometimes a little on the outer edge of what I really think. But still, I actually never went through all of the medium wave band because I would stop at several places. I stopped at one. It was Christmas Day. I stopped at one of the U.S. stations that had like these really, really great Christmas music classics, like the Nat King Cole stuff and so on. And so I had a lot of fun, actually. I spent I probably listened to the radio that evening for about 4 hours. Out of that 4 hours, 3 of them were spent listening to medium wave. I had a lot of fun listening in. And you know what? That is a great challenge, actually. Going around and tuning a different medium wave station on every frequency, for sure. Yes, Andy Coley, I need to do that. Put a PayPal link, Patreon link, and everything. I'll work towards that before the year ends. I wanted to do that a few times. Slips up. Okay, what else do we have? Okay, go down. Mountain Baleo, God, remember that the Echo's super deep. Yeah, on Echoes de Torbes, the echoing live show. Everybody's missing the echo now. Yeah, sometimes it happens. Radio Cara does have echoes, Blessing. You're right. So, nobody forgets anybody, Calentil. Nobody. Turn the sound counter fix. Actually, the Exorcist power stations on medium wave from Holland and Greece have echoes too. So K-index is 4, MDK2 says. Okay, still stayed at 4, 2100 UTC. Wow. Well, that's cool, Callum. You like long wave. It's nice. We all have our bands that we kind of like. I remember some guy telling me I don't really go on shortwave. I don't like much of the shortwave stuff. But I remember him telling me I spend so much time on the medium wave band, and I was like, yeah, well, you know what? That's the cool thing. Um, there's, if you like radio, we often have a band that we kind of just love, and that's cool. That's just cool. And I got to say, that's the fun thing about radio, honestly. It's really, really just the fun thing about radio. So, oh, it's interesting. I just got a renewal request for my Spectrum monitor, but because I used, okay, you guys are gonna find it funny because I used the different PayPal account. Spectrum monitor thinks I didn't renew my subscription, but I did, in fact, actually. It's under a different name. Oh man. Maybe I should write him back and say, yeah, I've subscribed. I'm on a different name now. So PLF Radio says, on 7440, one of the two frequencies of channel 292, I heard a particular sound. On their website, they say it was slow scan. Oh, slow scan TV. Yeah, SSTV PLF Radio. Slow scan television. If you have a PC, you can install MMSSTV. If you've got an Android phone, you can install a piece of software called Robot 36. So this is Robot 36. And this will decode an image that they're sending out. It's really, really cool, actually. OK 3. K is now lowered to 3 at 2100 UT PLF. So slow scan TV is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of it on the 20 meter band. For around 14,220, 14,230. There's a lot of slow scan TV signals there. Piet Mondrian student, nice to have you here. We need to set up the Spanish numbers, lady, and brothers there on blind dates. I find you really attractive. Siete, cinco. That's the answer. That means, yeah, well, thank you very much. Nami Garofid, Romania, nice to have you here. Jeffrey Crop, yeah, chicken soup. You know what? That's a good idea. I haven't had that in such a long time. Everybody's like, I think you're safe, David. I don't think that, that would be a first. This guy in Canada gave the flu to everybody around the world through his YouTube channel. Oh, man. Well, you know what, Matt? Charity X says, take 2 fin du monde and call me in the morning. That is my kind of thing. Actually, I'm taking 2 don de Dieu right now, so that's pretty much it. You know what, Matam Ballet, last night, I went to bed at midnight. And to give you guys an idea of how crappy I felt, I actually woke up this morning at 11 a.m. And I was in bed at 11 a.m. thinking, wow, I just woke up and in 4 hours' time I'll be live on YouTube. It felt like weird. So, it's just crazy. But you know what, Matt? K-index, because there's one thing you got to understand about the K-index. I always look at the K-index because the K-index on all the indices, okay? To give you an idea, okay? There's the solar flux, there's the A-index and the K-index. The A-index is the one I never really take care of. And unless I want to know what happened in the last 24 hours. And that's what the A-index is good for. In the last 24 hours, it's going to tell you, the conditions. The K-index is the important one. It's updated every 3 hours. And the K-index gives you kind of an idea of the conditions of the bands. And that is important because, first of all, because I've seen a lot of people say, well, K-index at 6. Crappy bands, I'm not going to turn on the radio. No. Don't do that. K-index changes a lot of the propagation characteristics. So what happens is when the K index rises, it means the geomagnetic field around it is also becoming unsettled or becoming uh, like, you know, really bad. It might be minor or you know, you're in geomagnetic storming, basically. And what's interesting in there is that it it destroys east-west propagation a lot, or anything that goes through the poles most of the time. But it enhances specific areas. For example, often when I see a K index of 4, 5, 6, I might not hear my usual signals, but a lot of the signals, for example, from South America, those Brazilians, for example, in the shortwave band, suddenly come a lot clearer than usual. So when we have a change in the geomagnetic field, it sometimes enhances other parts of the world that you might usually not hear much about. And it's worth it to just tune around and see what happens, because it's surprising sometimes what could really be you know, out there when the K index and when the geomagnetic field actually comes into stormy conditions. Not Rog Austin. Best place is bed with a bottle of whiskey. If I'm in bed with a bottle of whiskey, I'm gonna be in bed drunk. I might feel worse tomorrow because I'll be too drunk. Hungover. If I have a choice, feeling like this or hungover, I still rather feel like this than being hungover. Matt says I had NHK, Voice of Turkey, RRI, RFI, and Radio Australia, among others, of 04 to 0615. It's totally possible, Matt. I saw your post about Radio France on, I believe it was 6040 on the Facebook group. PLF Radio 7310, very strong, pretty cool. Matt Mbale says 40-meter band has been remarkable, pretty cool. Hey, Matt Mbale, no, sorry, JD Williamson. Happy New Year, absolutely, if you actually go to bed. And, or if you fall asleep while the show is there. If you fall asleep on the show, I'm going to start wondering if my stories are nice or maybe boring. Secular DX, about our histories. And I wrote KVS, Pen Pal, Radio DXer says I'm in to do more medium wave DXs than shortwave. Reason that there's much less to receive on shortwave these days, but also the poor propagation compared to other years. Yeah. Rob Webster, nice to have you here. Hopefully see you tomorrow. If not, have a great New Year. Yeah, I haven't decided yet if I do one tomorrow. If I take a decision of not doing it, I'll post it on the VHF channel. And let you guys know. I still haven't taken a decision about tomorrow's show. I'll wake up tomorrow morning and I'll see if I feel crappy. I might, you know, I might just take. It feels good to take a little bit of Echoes de Gilles. Instead of Echoes de Torbes, is Echoes de Gilles. Yeah, David. Oh, man. Oh, noise. Matt says, Pirate Enthusiast, you should know that WDDR, Drunken DJ Radio, which is Wolverine Radio Live, should be on New Year's Eve. Aha, after 0100 UTC, which is January 1st, 2019. Ah, I will be at my brother's on New Year's Eve, so I won't be able to listen to that. And for those that love astronomy, by the way, there's that NASA probe that will be closing by to one of the Ultimate Tool, that very far object, like 1 billion kilometers away, farther away than Pluto, on the night of New Year's Day, sorry. And what's that probe name? Horizon. Man, I forgot the name. Anyways, it's gonna take pictures. That's gonna be kind of cool, for sure. X S Strong says, I love Medium Wave DX. 90% of my listening used to do mostly UHF utilities. Yeah, but you know what the problem there? There's still some HF utilities, and we were talking about that last time. I think it was with Sheldon on the when I went to the International Radio Report. We were talking about how take all the noise away from the shortwave bands, and it's incredible how the shortwave bands suddenly become very active with stations. It's just that the problem is a lot of them are washed out in our noise, and that's the sad part. That's the sad part. Cosmic Lettuce is much more into the nanometer bands, but the meter bands are okay too. Yeah, you can watch all the... actually, it is radio-related, Cosmic Lettuce, because you are watching the radio aspect of the universe, which is radio. I mean, I remember when I was reading an article once about a pulsar being received. And in my head it was like, well, that's kind of ultimate DX. You're receiving a pulsar, so you're receiving pulses from a star, 100 or 200 light years away. I mean, that's the ultimate DX, honestly. So it is radio. So Cosmic Lettuce, you are part of the radio stuff. It's watching the world through radio instead of through the eyes of a telescope. Slow scan radio, really. A slow scan radio, it must be slow scan TV, I guess. I'd like to listen to that thing for sure. That's interesting, PLF radio. Slow scan radio. Huh, I need to check that out. Brian Penny says, last night I was tuning around the medium wave band and locked KCJJ in Iowa City, Iowa. It is 1,779 kilometers from the QTH. Wow. This is cool. This is cool. Logan Gurton, nice to have you here. Yeah, 11 hours of sleep. I took my YouTube shot. It should be fine. Nick Mayakovsky. There's almost nothing local in the medium wave AM band where I live, so everything is open and DXing. Kevin Wood says, only a few medium wave stations left in Nova Scotia. Here in Montreal, it's surprising. There's never been so many medium wave stations. Matt says, I've seen the A-index B2 a few times recently. That tells you that it's been quiet. But yeah, I look at K-index all the time. Yeah, it gives you an idea of all the what's happening. You know what? You guys talking about medium wave and also long wave? There was a Eric Cottrell that often is often in the chat room here was mentioning, and I know that Ray Kelly in Nova Scotia also was amazed. Apparently, the station from Algeria 252, I think, was booming in on long wave yesterday and the day before. Pretty amazing. The problem is really the noise level, because the noise level is the bad part of our hobby. Remove that noise level, and you're surprised. I mean, I'm gonna go to Perry Island and listen in to Perry Island. I can tell you guys, I'm amazed at the number of signals and clear signals I get. PLF Radio says, I heard that RTBF will leave medium wave 621 and 1125 kilohertz at the end of 2018. Wow, that is sad. That's the end of an era. RTBF from Belgium. Oh man, sad. Just crazy. Let's have a applause to Bobby Burgess that has the really quick hand today of all the trolls on the channel. He's really fast. It's funny because I'm always far behind in the chat, and what's nice is that I never see anything about the trolls because They're already all gone by the time I get to the chat. But there are still hundreds of stations out there. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Madrid the Extra says Groot News radio from all in on 1008 kilohertz living medium wave. Wow. An antenna farm, yeah. I would be willing to grow antennas every all year long. Callum loves radio. Cool. Flavius Alexandru, nice to have you on board, Flavius. Salut. Always nice to have you here. Dana F from Providence, Rhode Island. Nice to have you here. A sandbagger on your show. I enjoy them all and learn a lot. Nice to have everybody here. Nick says, I'm in Canada's East Coast. Most medium wave stations have moved to FM. Yeah, a lot of them moved to FM, for sure. Jacob Patton, nice to have you on board. I've been watching you for a few years. Greetings from Tennessee. Nice to have you on board, Jacob. And nice for saying a little hi. It's fun to see. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that never show up in the chat, for example, that watch the show, honestly. And it's kind of nice because from time to time you'll have that moment where one will show up and say, hey, I listen to you. I'm the quiet type. I stay in the back room. I don't want to say anything, but I just enjoy watching, and it's kind of cool. And that's fun. Welcome aboard, Jacob. Oh, that's something I need to do. Absolutely, Matt. Set up my SDR software to record. New Horizons. Yeah, it's the new one that I didn't. New Horizons, Rocket Restaurant. Absolutely. Larry Marks. No, Insight is the Mars probe. Insight is the Mars probe. Cosmic Lettuce, New Horizons encounters Ultimate Tool 0533 UTC on January 1st, 2019. Data coming back at 1 kilobits per second. But all the instruments will be turned on. It'll take 20 months to download all the data. Man, talk about slow download rates. But I guess, when you're billions of miles away, it can go really fast for you to download something. I remember reading an article about the Voyager space probes that are now both out of our solar system. And they were saying that the signal coming out of the Voyager space probe is 5 watts. And I don't remember the number, but they were saying it's like 1 trillionth of a watt here on Earth when it arrives. And they got to clean up all the noise around it in order to just listen to that digital signal coming from the space probes that are thousands of billions. They're billions of miles away. It's just crazy when you think about it. Talk about DXing. I mean, that's the ultimate DXing. Piet Mondrian student says we had a power failure and reception was amazing. Cool. Take care, Cosmic Lettuce. Cheers. Happy New Year. I need to get to your live shows from time to time for sure. Okay, I'll take a look at the schedule, PLF Radio. Absolutely. Piet Mondrian student, we had a power failure here. The reception was amazing as soon as the power resumed. Yeah, it's always like that. It's always like that. You get these power failures, and you see how you could, if there was no noise, all the things you could listen to. It's just totally amazing. And you get to that point where, you know what? Okay. Noise comes back and it's like, wow, okay, everything's just washed out in the noise. It's a sea of noise. That is the problem, the sea of noise. And Column 2 loves long wave. So, yeah, you know what? I have a lot of noise, Richard. As Richard Cook says, you should be able to get medium wave stations from Europe. I have a lot of noise, first of all, and the sloper that I've got isn't really that great for anything medium wave from Europe. So I hear, you know what? I'll hear the heterodynes. I'll hear the little tones that tell me on that frequency. I'm hearing that European signal just slightly, but it's not there. I can't listen to a program, for example. David in Barcelona, nice to have you on board. And oh, he's not from Barcelona. He's from a smaller city called Cartagena. Bit of a trip. Cool. Cartagena. That reminds me of Cartagena, Colombia. Nice to have you on board. What else do we have? What else do we have? Let's go down slowly. Nice to have everybody here. Pretty cool. Take care, BLF Radio, and see you next time. Always nice to have you here. Antenna porn. Now everybody likes antenna porn and radio porn. I mean, when you look at a sexy radio, now there's a limit to what you can do with a sexy radio. Then again, you know. So, you know. Yeah, I'm not sure yet for tomorrow. I'll let you guys know tomorrow. It'll depend on how I feel, for sure. What else do we have? So, okay, I was at, we've been on for 2 hours, and all I did was 1 megahertz of all the spectrum. So I guess we're going to continue in the next show for that. 28 megahertz, 28,000, 29,000. That's 10 meter armature band. Pretty much all single sideband, with the bottom part of it being digital and CW modes. But 28,000 to 29,000 is the 10 meter armature radio band. 27,000 to 28,000. Bottom part, 27,000 to 27,405 is the CB band. Let's see if there's anything on the CB band here. I'm going to tune the Super Bowl channel 27025. 27025. Anything here on the CB channels tonight? Nothing much. Nothing much on the CB channel tonight. So up to 27,405 is the CB channel. Above 27,405 utilities, but there's also out of band 11 meter CBers, if you can call them. They're illegal, but they're there. 27,555. 27,555, one of those frequencies to listen to in upper sideband. You never know when somebody might pop up and try to call DX if you want. Block 385, nice to have you on board from Fairhaven, Massachusetts. Watching, good show, thank you very much. Nice to have you on board. Kind of cool. Kevin Wood, is there still anything on FM around 25? Yes, more like around 26. Kevin Wood, there's still a lot of those US studio to transmitter links in FM mode. If you tune around when propagation is good, if you tune around from 25,700 to 26,200, you'll hear some for sure. The regular ones, and then the last time that I heard one was maybe 6 months ago, was a Texas change station. Texas station. It looks like I want to say Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something. Texas station on 25910 that had its studio link on FM. So there's, when propagation is good, there's still a lot of stuff there to listen to, Kevin Wood. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep, studio transmitter links. There's still a lot of them, but some have gone. I haven't heard the like WFLA 25870 in a long time. I don't think that's still on, honestly. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there for sure. For sure. It's nice to have everybody on board. So what do we have? 26 megahertz. What's in here? 26,000 to 27,000. Lots of utility stuff, but at the bottom part of 26 megahertz, and lots of out-of-banders, 11-meter guys. But there's a lot of a mixed bag of station when propagation is there. There's FM, CBers from Europe. There's on the bottom part of 26 megahertz, you'll have the studio to transmitter links that we're talking about. That's an FM mode. And by the way, a little trick. Most people don't have an FM capable receiver on that frequency range. So what you do, if you hear a station, say for example you hear Texas, or you hear one on, I don't know, 26,100. If you don't have FM capability, just detune. Tune 2 kilohertz below or above the FM signal. Because if you're on it, you'll see that it's very distorted. But if you're 2 kilohertz away, up or down, it's still distorted, but you're gonna make up whatever they're talking about. You'll be able to understand. It's a little trick to listen to FM stations on a AM only capable radio. So there's the CP band that is on the upper part of 26.965, I believe, it's channel 1. There's some utility stuff in there. Once again, there's a lot of signals in these frequency ranges, but the major problem is right now is having a day where the propagation is good enough to support the frequency ranges there. That's the important thing in here. Very, very important for sure. So, it's kind of interesting. Matt says, you just gave me an idea for a Halloween pirate show, Radio Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That would be nice. That would be nice, Matt. Radio Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And when you ID the station, all you hear was the chainsaw. That'd be nice. That'd be nice. So you're watching the Shortwave show out of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And of course we are here talking about radio every Fridays, 2000 hours UTC. And I hope you guys are enjoying the show. Hey guys, I don't mean to be bad, but I'm gonna kind of wind it down. I'm really tired. I feel like crap. I told you guys I got that cold, that flu bug, and I feel like crap. So we did 2 hours and 12. It's better than nothing. At least it was here today. I don't know yet about tomorrow's show. It will depend on how I feel when I wake up tomorrow. So I'll let you guys know on the VHF channel tomorrow if there's a show or not. I'm going to take it easy tonight for the rest of the show. I hope that you enjoyed today's show. And if for every reason I'm not here tomorrow, I want to wish everybody the best New Year 2019 ever. Everything you wish, but mostly health. I think health is the number one thing that's important in life. I mean, if you got good health, you can do anything. And nothing like being sick to understand that having good health is important. So I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Sorry for making it a little short, but you know what? I'm gonna just take it easy for the rest of the night. And I will have some chicken soup, David. I'm actually gonna go and do that now. You gave me a great idea there. I haven't had that in such a long time. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here. Thanks for the donations, by the way, that I've received. Love you guys. And hopefully we'll be here tomorrow. If not, Happy New Year. We'll be here. The next Friday show is going to be January... What? It's going to be January the 4th. And for those that listen to me on the International Radio Report, next year I'm going to be there every Sunday mornings. It's every week I'm going to be there now. So take care, my friends. Love you all. Alvin Chickmonk, nice to have you here. Have a great evening, a great day, a great night. Thanks again for everything. And stay safe, everybody. Love you all. And now we found how to remove the echo in the sound by my friend. Listen to the radio bands. Don't forget, Spectrum Monitor January 2019 edition is out. I'm going to read that tonight and listen to the radio. And stay safe, my friends, as I feel really crappy right now. Take care, my friends. Stay safe, okay? See you tomorrow or next year. Bye.